Okay, so I wasn't really sure what format this would take with Tears of the Kingdom being released, and well, obviously I did a stream the other day. The VOD will be released on YouTube very soon. But I figured it's as good a time as any really to do a first impressions video. So, Tears of the Kingdom is the long-awaited sequel to Breath of the Wild, and I have some thoughts. Having spent the entire weekend on it, having clocked in, let me just check, well over 40 hours in the space of 4 days, nearly. The first thing I want to say is this. It's spectacular. The scope of this game, the wide-reaching joy. I love it. I really do. It's not perfect. It's not. But it's fantastic, and I'm having the time of my life playing through this. I'm going from place to place, I'm making use of all sorts of stuff, and yeah. Most people's favourite ability in Tears of the Kingdom is Ultra Hand, and Ultra Hand is really fun. But for me, it's Recall. Recall has got me out of many tight spots, and is the basic level of abuse I tend to make use of. Like, believe me, it's so fun. It's how I cheese a lot of shrines, that and sticking a rocket to my shield using Fuse. Ascend is pretty useful too. Ascend is the one that I forget about quite often, which is a shame. It's really quite useful. Blimey. That's what I get for spending 40 hours playing a game that I didn't even get until, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 o'clock on a Friday evening. And it is currently midnight, going into the 16th of May currently, so the game has officially been out for 4 days. So yeah, I've completed 2 temples, and that's a big thing. Dungeons are back, and they're spectacular. They're, like, properly back. It's not like Divine Beasts at all, aside from, like, the idea of having 5 points that you need to activate. But the way you do it is more specialised than it is in Breath of the Wild. Yeah. I spent a good 4 or 5 hours today in what I call the Deep Dark, and it's fun. It's a little bit barren, but it's fun. It's a proper, like, labyrinth of darkness that you can kind of comb your way through. I'm finally getting used to the combat in this game, which I bloody well hope so too, because, well, I have been playing for ages. Like I say, 40 hours. Shit. Ugh. I've got to stop dropping that remote. But yeah, I'm having such a great time. But, and I want to keep this brief, because I don't want to get into spoilers at all. Okay, so the way memories work in this game, because memories are once again the chosen storytelling method, and believe me, that's annoying. But the way the memories work is, towards the start of the game, you run into Impa, and she's kind of camping out amongst this like drawing in the grass. It's like an alien invasion, like crop circles. And she explains that there's these geoglyphs, like hieroglyphs. And each geoglyph, as I've figured out, tells some kind of story related to what actually happens in the memory. And yeah. The story is compelling, but there's one huge problem. In telling it out of order, they've committed the cardinal sin of non-linear stories don't work. It takes a very specific type of story for non-linear stories to work under any circumstance. And I don't think they should have gone with that. I think they should have gone with a linear story that you have to progress in a certain order. Because there are 3 memories that spring to mind. And I will name them, but I won't explain them. I'm not even going to name them. Okay, it wasn't 3 memories, it was 2. Memories 9 and 10, otherwise known as Tier 7 and Tier 8. Should not have been out of order. And yet I got them out of order, and therefore the impact of what happens in Memory 9 is lost because Memory 10 shows the immediate aftermath. And that's just proof of what I've been saying all along. Linearity is a compulsory thing for Zelda. It doesn't have to be all linear, but it does need to be partly. And in fact, stories in games should always be linear. The out-of-order storytelling thing causes impact to be lost. It was a problem with Breath of the Wild, and it's a problem here. So, gripes out of the way, mostly. I don't like the fact that this is the future of Zelda. I've been quite open about that, and I've talked about this repeatedly for a while. But my problems with it being the future of Zelda won't actually become a problem for quite some time. It won't be until I've long since beaten this and stopped discovering new things every time I play. Whereas I can still maintain a sense of joy and wonder at playing, for example, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Breath of the Wild was one and done for a very long time for me. And yes, recently I've not only played but beaten Breath of the Wild by, beating all the shrines again in Master Mode, beating the Trial of the Sword in Master Mode, which, no, it was terrible. I just have to make that clear. The Trial of the Sword in Master Mode was bullshit. I did enjoy my replay. But we're not talking about Breath of the Wild today, we're talking about Tears of the Kingdom. And, I got my collector's edition, did an unboxing on stream. Fantastic. What do I even say about this game? The sky stuff is a little bit barren, I can't lie. I'm having more fun in the Deep Dark. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of get my thoughts out there. As I said, I actually said it would be done on Saturday, and then I kept playing and I kept playing and I kept playing, and because I've disconnected my Switch from my Elgato because it was bugging me out like constantly, I do need to actually find out what's wrong with the Elgato at some point. I have decided that I'm gonna hold off on reconnecting it for the time being, and you know I'm having a lot of, but yeah, my point is, like, I was supposed to do this video days ago, but because of how much fun I'm having with Tears of the Kingdom, and believe me, I am having fun. I'm playing it right now, like, while I try and talk about it. But I don't like griping about it because it did just come out, and you know it's brand new. Oh, he seems dodgy. Okay, so I'm gonna need wonderful. Yeah, there's all sorts to this game. A long-running fan theory of what would happen next regarding a certain character was confirmed. I've just found out 5 minutes ago that, well, a bit more than that now, that they've finally confirmed how the Gerudo population keeps continuing on. You know, I'll say, I think this is safe to say, Ganondorf's connection to the Gerudo is brought up, sort of. They seem, for the last several games, to be fair, Ganondorf's only ever been in one game for the Gerudo win. But in fairness to Gerudo, I've only ever been in 2 games prior to this. And that was Ocarina, well, no, 3, but Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and Breath of the Wild. And Ganondorf is in neither Majora's Mask nor Breath of the Wild, because I will point out that Ganondorf and Ganon are completely different things, and I'm not entirely convinced that Calamity Ganon is even Ganon. It was mostly a monstrosity. But yeah, it was. I'm having such a great time, and I wouldn't trade in this whole new experience for anything, really. You know, I haven't. You know, how do I put this? My first experience with Breath of the Wild was over 6 years ago, and playing Tears of the Kingdom, and not only is it early so there aren't many guides, but I'm actively refusing to look up guides even if I can, like, even if they do exist. And you know, I think it's been a much better experience for it. You know, a lot of modern Zelda, like a lot of older Zelda games, I used guides on my first go. Admittedly, I can't really feel too bad about that because I was very young. Like I was like very young when I first started playing Zelda. You know, it's been a part of my life since as long as I can remember. And yeah, it's just it's nice to have a Zelda game that I don't know everything about, or the majority of things about. Because in the case of Breath of the Wild, it is true that I didn't discover everything about the game. I just discovered everything that I thought was worth really knowing. But yeah, Tears of the Kingdom is it is fantastic. I was expecting a little bit more of a connection to Skyward Sword, I think. And to be honest, it does feel a bit like they're just kind of trying to discard the previous Zelda games from the timeline. Because without spoiling anything regarding the nature of the Zonai and their connection with Hyrule, their existence is kind of mutually exclusive with Ocarina of Time. And yet, I discovered something the other day that has completely shaken me up. So I finally returned to the Great Plateau. You know, as you do. It was on my list of things I wanted to check out for a while, especially since people kind of cross-referenced a particular event from the trailers occurred in on the Great Plateau. And to say the least, I was not disappointed by returning here. I initiated a couple of side questy things that were quite fun. And yeah, I had a great time, and later I was knocking around the edge of the plateau, you know, as you do. And I discovered something. I never thought I'd discover. The Great Plateau was always said to be the birthplace of Hyrule, right? And that, for years, made minimal sense. And to be honest, it's still a little bit well, how could this be? How could this possibly be? Well, I'm currently walking around on the plateau right now, and I've been wondering for years now how people were supposed to get up there. And I found around I found quite close to the Eastern Abbey, where we got the bomb rune in Breath of the Wild. I found a bombable wall, and I either used bombs or I used a sledgehammer of sorts, and I smashed it open. And I found something insane. It wasn't the Eastern Abbey, it was further. I discovered that it was actually acting as a kind of dam for that little river that you got to see in Breath of the Wild. It is, to be specific, between the Forest of Spirits and the Eastern Abbey, and just across from the Temple of Time. And I believe that this is the castle town of Ocarina. You know, I wholeheartedly believe that. I it's a theory people have had for years because of the towns and stuff up by, well, the buildings and stuff next to the temple. But I think that this confirms it. But in the interest of just not giving away too much about even the gameplay, because to be honest, a Zelda game is an experience. It's not just some game. You don't just play the game, you live it. The shrine detector makes a return. And I won't explain how you get that, because even if I wanted to, I probably couldn't explain. Because that whole thing took forever. Partly because of the fact that I kept leaving it. But yeah. Tears of the Kingdom. Incredible. One thing that I do want to say is I've been quite critical in recent years of Amiibo as a practice. You know, when I was younger I didn't question it, but the idea of cutting off content for players that don't buy your stupid pricey plastic and, well, ultimately don't buy it quick enough, it's just not a practice I'm on board with. You know, that stuff should be in the game. And when it was announced it was Amiibo functionality coming to Tears of the Kingdom, I was quite scared they were going to do the same thing all over again. And I won't lie, it would have been quite hard to justify. But I can confirm officially from, to be specific of what gear I've located, the Fierce Deity's mask, Midna's helmet, the Traces of Time, and Sheik's mask and the Traces of the Wind. You can get them in game. You can get most of the Amiibo armour, if not all, in game. There is a possibility that there's a Link's Awakening armour that you can't. But the vast majority of it is apparently findable in game. And you know how you find it? I'm not going to tell you. You'll find out. You'll kind of catch on eventually. But what I'm going to say is keep an eye on your maps. I think that's the best way of saying it. I have found the Champion's Tunic. That was a discovery that I made very early on, because I made a little expedition. First I went home, I had a nap, I read a book. Then I popped out into the back garden to do some gardening, and I had a little look around. Found out how to do that. I had a lot of fun doing that. But yeah, that was fun. So I've had the Champion's Tunic, or as it's called. I'll let you find out. But yeah, I've had that since. I actually think it might have been Friday night, possibly technically early Saturday. Yeah. It was good. But yeah, so I think I'm going to leave it here for the first impressions, as I could talk all day about this if I wanted to. I have talked all day about this. Me and Prem, we sit in calls all day and we'll just talk about what we found. It's like going back to when we were kids, back at school, and Breath of the Wild had just come out. And the two of us would see each other every day. At the time, we had quite a rocky friendship. We weren't really friends at the time, but we knew each other quite well. We talked quite a bit. despite our little rivalry, and we tended to talk about Breath of the Wild when it came out. Every day of our lives, we'd find something and we'd report to the other. And there were loads of us at school who did that. And to be able to go for a life like that again, I can think of no greater honour than getting to replay. Well, getting to play. It's almost like playing Breath of the Wild for the first time ever again. And that's so fun. And it's so great. But I've said too much. I have been talking for 26 minutes and it doesn't even feel like it. I'm going to go back to playing Zelda. There will be another video coming out soon. I've messed up the 2003 celebrations quite badly. Because I haven't even started filming Rubber Dubbers yet. I haven't finished the script. I still need to write the actual review portion of it. I've written the retrospective, but like, not the review. So, I'll get back to that out very soon. Maybe. It's actually an above zero chance it might be a while before I get a chance. But yeah, I'm gonna go. So play Tears of the Kingdom. Have fun. Make your voices heard about memories. I would say. If Nintendo are really going to commit to this open air Zelda feel, then they need to get the stories fixed, because memories are not the way to do it. But I'll see you guys on the flip side. Bye.